Hello and welcome to another My Interesting Pictures video. Well, today we have another special guest right here with me, and I would say let's start and let's talk about your job as a journalist. I would say introduce yourself. Who are you? What do you do? Where are you from? And everything else.
Okay, my name is Marcus Pindur. I work for the German National Public Radio, Deutschlandradio. And I just returned from Washington, D.C., where I was a correspondent since 2012. Most of my work is actually in Washington, D.C.
So how was that in America? Because a lot of people, especially also in my comment section, tell me, especially Americans, oh well, the German media was spoiling the Germans. This is not how Trump is, how he actually is. So how does the American media, how did they present him?
They did a great job and they did a terrible job at once. The problem is you cannot really escape that, because a candidate like him, who violates every rule in the playbook, who has no ethical norms and standards, is hard to cover because his constant breaking of the rules is news in itself. So you're kind of in a circle, and you can't really escape that. So he gets constant attention, so he gets constant media coverage, so he gets a lot of airtime. Then, in the beginning, the networks made big mistakes by airing every major rally of Trump live and broadcast it at length.
What do you think would have happened if the media, let's say only the American media, would not covered Donald Trump at all, or way less than they did? Do you think he would have get where he's now?
It's hard to tell, because it's like the question with the chicken and the egg. You know, what was there first? I hear that all the time in Germany. If we wouldn't pay so much attention to the right-wing populists or neo-Nazis or whatever, then they wouldn't be, as prominent in the media, and they wouldn't get as much public support as they do. And I think that's BS. I think that is not feasible. It is a free society. We have to report on everything, but we have to do it thoroughly and measured. And that was the problem. The second thing is what Dan Rather called false equivalency. So Trump, for example, put out outrageous lies, and then you put a Trump surrogate, kind of a speaker, on television, and he repeats that outrageous lie, and then next to it you put a Clinton supporter who debates that lie and says it's not true. False equivalence means you cannot give a lie the same kind of credibility with media presence as an obvious lie, as you can with somebody who's debating a question of politics. That's a problem. The viewer is under the impression, the truth must be somewhere in between, which it isn't. It simply wasn't.
You were speaking about lies. An interesting phenomenon which is happening at the moment are fake news on Facebook, on I think Twitter, in YouTube, all over the place, really. How dangerous are they, and what can we actually do against them? And where do they come from, perhaps, as well?
Well, first of all, they come from several sources. There are those that are convinced that aliens are among us, and that most of them, that those aliens are from Afghanistan, and those people are prone to believe everything. Then there are those that can be convinced, that you can talk to, that you can send to different sources and say, okay, listen, read that newspaper and not that, or don't get your news somewhere on the internet from a non-reliable source. Then there's people who put things out in the internet because they simply are conspiracy theorists. Then there are those who want to convey a certain political picture, that all of Germany is consumed by outsiders who are raping our women and stealing our chickens, And it's like, Okay, and some of those are being fed and led by outsiders like Russian TV, Russia Today, Sputnik News. They have a mission, and that mission is to destabilize Germany in order to not get Angela Merkel re-elected, so the sanctions could be lifted soon.
You also went through some shitstorms as well a couple of years ago. How does this feel, by the way, for you?
The first time is really hard because you really start doubting yourself. Did I do something wrong to warrant all that hatred? And after you realize that, no, it's okay what your op-ed piece said, and it's an opinion, and you could back it up with information, and you go through that, and it's kind of a maturing process.
Which leads me to the next thing. How would you recommend people to react to this?
I have to say this in German. You can translate it. Mach deinen Freunden Mut und mach deinen Feinden Angst. Don't let anyone call you out. Unresponded. Push back. Make people that are still reachable and that still want an open dialogue. Let people know that they are welcome. Let them know it's not good to succumb to hate speech, to hatred in general, to prejudice. Tell them to stand up for basic human rights, for our democratic constitution, and do that proudly. Empower your friends.
What you said, by the way, this is exactly what I'm doing. I'm telling those people, I don't mind which opinion you have. I don't mind where you come from or which position you stand for, whatever. As long as you are treating others with respect and not, spreading hate in any way. It was a pleasure having you here and having you with us, I guess. Thank you very much for your insights, for what you experienced, and I'm really valuing this. By the way, I was texting you on Twitter very, very shortly. I needed to put everything in a very short message.
Yeah, that was fine. That's Twitter.
It is, I guess. Anyways, thank you very much for being here, thank you also for watching. I hope you had fun watching it. It was very interesting for me as well to meet him, and I hope it was interesting for you as well. Anyways, if you liked it, please make sure to like and subscribe and to share this video if you want to. Anyways, there's not much more to say other than, as always, stay interested to be more interesting. Goodbye.